What it do, YouTube, and welcome back into the Hollywood Rip studio for this week's episode of Hot in the Hobby, the show where I go over the hottest cars driving sports card markets forward over the past 7 days. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Mr. Hollywood, and we go from the hardwood to the diamond to the gridiron this week. A good mix of some big names this week, so let's do like we did when we were kids and hopscotch right into this week, starting with card number 1, and that is, of course, Tyrese Halliburton, the guard for the Indiana Pacers. His 2020 Prizm base PSA 10 rookie card and PSA 9 rookie card, as well as his silver Prizm PSA 9 and 10. Let's take a look at those right now. The Prizm base PSA 9 is up 164% to $21.68 per card. The PSA 10 version of that is up 44.3% to $70 a card. And the silver PSA 9 up 18.6%, sitting at $61 per card, while the PSA 10 is up a modest 11% at $404. By the way, the raw optic holo is up 143%. By the way, the Pacers and the Thunder are tied 1-1 in the NBA Finals, heading to Indy. So far in the finals, Tyrese Halliburton is averaging 15.5 points, 6 assists, 6.5 rebounds on 50% shooting, 33% from downtown. He did hit a crazy game winner again in Game 1 in that crazy Game 1 comeback win in Oklahoma City. I've said it a few times, and I'll say it again. Indy isn't really a huge market. If they somehow win it all, first of all, I'll be shocked if they do. And second of all, I just don't think he puts up enough numbers for like big upward potential. So at this point, I think a lot's already baked in for Halliburton. Can the Cinderella run continue? Who knows? Maybe. But for me, I'm not putting my money on it. Moving on to hot card number 2, and it's Pete Alonso, the first baseman for the New York Mets. His 2019 Topps Chrome base rookie card in the PSA 10 was up 72.2% over the past week to $34.44. So far in 2025, Pete Alonso is hitting .301 with 17 home runs, 61 RBIs, and a .990 OPS. Obviously, he's having an incredible year so far, but keep in mind, he has never, not once, in 7 seasons, hit higher than .270. Not once. So his average will decline. And I just can't stop thinking about the whole, with Pete Alonso, I can never stop thinking about the whole, how he turned down a 7-year, $158 million extension from the Mets in 2023, and now he's getting $54 million instead of $158 million. You know, like for someone who obviously has made a lot of money playing baseball relative to normal people like us, but not like a stupid super contract amount of money, losing out on $100 million is actually insane. But he is the stalwart of this Mets team. Juan Soto has struggled. Mark Vientos has struggled. Lindor's been Lindor, pretty darn good. And this Mets team is still in first place without their entire lineup clicking. And that's a good sign for Mets players' card values this year, as they are looking like they will be very much in contention come the fall. As for pricing now, I'm not buying Alonso. The average is bound to come down. He's going to for sure hit 35 to 40 homers. That's just who he is. And then maybe there's another jump in his cards if they have a postseason run. I also think Soto will get going eventually and take a little attention off of Pete Alonso. But for me right now, collecting Pete Alonso is more of a true collecting proposition than it is a value proposition. But if you want to collect it, you do you. Moving on to hot card number 3, and it is Kobe Bryant, former guard for the Los Angeles Lakers. His 1996 Topps base rookie card in raw condition was up 45.2% to $70. One actually sold for $82 yesterday. The PSA 10 is sitting at $795. It's up 14.7%, so almost 15% over the past 6 months. While the PSA 9 is sitting at $144. That is up 31% over the past year. I wanted to look at Kobe because I was pretty worried about the Kobe market, honestly, the past couple of years. It obviously had a huge spike after his death, and for a good year and a half, 2 years plus afterwards. But then a lot of his stuff started dropping steadily for a couple of years. So it's good to see them sort of stabilizing more, and then even coming up a little bit again. You know, this is a tough one. Obviously, one of the best players ever, but not in the GOAT conversation, really. But he obviously will always have a huge fan base, having played in the LA market his whole career. I think Kobe stuff will always carry a little bit of a special premium given his early departure from this earth. But good to see this card bump back up a bit. This guy was literally my childhood hero. The day that Kobe died, felt like a family member had died. I actually cried, and that was probably one of the only times. That's the only time I've ever cried for someone that's not family, essentially. I still think Kobe autos are incredible if you can get them, if you can get your hands on them. But realistically, you need probably around 2K in order to do that. But this is obviously his rookie card out of Topps. It was easily $1,000+ card just a couple years ago. But to see it stabilize and then bump back up again, I think that's a good sign for Kobe stuff moving forward. By the way, if you guys want access to all the charts we use the Market Movers app. If you want to comp cards like the pros, find out what you should be paying, find out what something just sold for. And it's not just what something sold for on eBay. Market Movers will track all the different auction sites. It'll track eBay, it'll track Fanatics Collect, it'll track Golden, it'll track Heritage Auctions, you name it. So your pricing charts there are pretty darn accurate. There's also other features on there where you can search current eBay listings for what is undervalued. That is a very, very valuable option. And for a limited time, if you go to marketmovers.com on your phone, and you have to do it on your phone or on a desktop computer, you can't use the app for this to work. If you go to marketmovers.com and use the promo code Hollywood, which is on the bottom of your screen there, you will get 2 weeks free and then 20% off your subscription for the rest of your life. So that is a very long time to be comping cards accurately for the rest of your life. Moving on though, by the way, we're probably going to see a spike in Roman Anthony cards this week, by the way, just FYI, because he was called up yesterday as well, just as we saw a spike in Jack Caglione cards, as well as Kyle Teal cards just before that. But moving on to hot card number 4, and we're going to talk about Jayden Daniels, quarterback for the Washington Commanders, his 2024 Donruss Downtown PSA 10. Let's look at that. Let's look at his Prism Base PSA 10. And let's look at his Prism Silver in a PSA 9. So the Prism Base PSA 10 is up 36% to $107. His PSA 10 Downtown out of Donruss is sitting at $2,800, up 12%. The Prism Silver in a PSA 9 is up 15% to $220. In terms of these cards though, look at the pop count on the Downtown. 280 PSA 10s. By the way, there's also 450 PSA 9s and 520 PSA 8s. That's over 1,300 PSA graded Jayden Daniels Downtowns. Like thousands of Downtowns now. And to me, that's part of the reason that I'm not much of a fan of Downtowns anymore, as they just continue to water this stuff down to meet demand. In my opinion, you shouldn't be watering down the case hit, let's say, to meet demand. You should be printing more cards and just make the Downtowns harder to hit. You shouldn't just increase the number of Downtowns in general just because you're printing more, if that makes sense. Obviously, an unbelievable rookie season, right? That ended in a tough loss in the NFL playoffs last year to the world champion Philadelphia Eagles. I've largely ignored the fact that while, yes, we've seen a decrease in quarterback pricing in the offseason, as we almost always do, I can't help but notice that all these guys, Jayden Daniels, Bo Nix, Michael Penix, Drake May, J.J. McCarthy, they all have had cards that have held pretty darn solid over the offseason. Quarterbacks in the NFL, I think, are just hotter than ever. It's the highest upside market by a mile, and it's also the highest downside market by a mile. Like, talk about high risk, high reward. Buy first or second year quarterbacks. That is the riskiest thing you can do alongside with prospecting baseball for the most part. But just to give you a reality check, guys, Jalen Hurts, the guy who just won the Super Bowl and has been to another Super Bowl as well, his silver PSA 9 is $100 less than Jayden Daniels. His 2020 Donruss Downtown in a PSA 10 is $600 less than Jayden Daniels. This is for a guy that has won a Super Bowl now and has been to another Super Bowl in just 5 seasons. This guy's been to a Super Bowl in 40% of the seasons he's played, and Jayden Daniels is more expensive than him. Think about that for a second. Even J.J. McCarthy's silver prism in a PSA 10 is more than Jalen Hurts. That makes 0 sense. That is not investing, that is gambling. Remember, when a rookie quarterback comes out hot, first year hype, most of the time ends up actually being peak price for most players. Look at CJ Stroud. I'm not saying they're not great quarterbacks or that they don't have the potential to be great. I'm just saying, understand that winning multiple Super Bowls is already baked into Jayden Daniels' price, and Jalen Hurts is proof of that. It's the ultra-modern card trap in some ways. You look at Patrick Mahomes even, right? Patrick Mahomes has won, 3 Super Bowls? Almost won a 4th Super Bowl. His cards, compared to Jayden Daniels, yes, they're more expensive, but are they like, they should, he's won 3 Super Bowls, right? So they should be, arguably, you could say, they should be 3 to 4 times the price. Are they? No, they're not. Moving on to hot card number, which one is this? I think this is the last one. Yeah, last hot card of the day, and it's Adley Rutschman, catcher for the Baltimore Orioles. His 2023 Topps base rookie card in a PSA 10 was up 99% to $22.88 over the past week. This was just a $10 card a week ago, because in June so far, Adley has hit .417 with 2 homers, 3 RBIs, and a 1.190 OPS. But so far in 25, he's just hitting .227 with 7 home runs, 18 RBIs, and his OPS is just .695. If I'm being totally honest with you guys, I just don't think Adley Rutschman is that good. He's gotten worse every season for the past 3 seasons. His average is down, his pop is down, and he has literally 0 speed. If you take a look at his baseball savant numbers, yes, it's sexy that he's a switch hitting catcher, and yes, elite on square up percentage, you can see there, chase percentage, whiff percentage. But if he's squaring up such a high amount, how is he not hitting the ball harder? Just 40th percentile on hard hit percentage and 25th percentile on bat speed. Also been poor at blocking behind the plate. I don't know, to me, Adley is at the point where he needs to prove himself again to be considered elite to me. I wouldn't put him in the top 5 catchers in baseball right now. I would take at least 5 catchers over him right now. Obviously, I'd take Cal Raleigh, I'd take Will Smith, I'd take William Contreras, I'd take probably Carlos Narvaez. Adley's actually 16th right now in WAR amongst all MLB catchers. That ain't good. And Baltimore's in trouble, let's be honest. Gunnar has started to come alive and do Gunnar things, but this team just added nothing in the offseason after being one of the best young teams in baseball and making the playoffs. And in fact, they got worse. They let Burns go, which I guess was a good decision in hindsight, considering he is now on the shelf with Tommy John. They let Santander go, which maybe that was a good decision too, because he hasn't been great this year either. But you'd think they'd then turn around and then spend that money on someone else, but they didn't. And now they're in last place in a tough AL East, and almost none of their young talent, aside from Gunnar, has panned out. They sort of just hoped that they could young talent their way without veteran stars, without veteran leadership. Holiday is still struggling. Kierstad has been awful. Cowser has been awful. Adley has been awful. Their rotation has been awful. Eflin has been subpar. Kramer has not been good. Povich has not been good. Charlie Morton's ERA is like 7, yet they still throw him out there every game. I guess don't have much of a choice. Even their best reliever, Felix Bautista, has been wild. Jordan Westberg's been hurt most of the season. Kobe Mayo, albeit it's only been 10 games, is hitting 160. I think while we were all high on the Orioles a year ago, as we should have been, it's hard to be now. Not just because of the non-performance of these young guys, aside from Gunnar, but because management has basically told us they don't want to put money to make this a winning team. It's going south for Baltimore fast, and they have so many young guys. If I'm them, I'm offloading 1 or 2 of those young guys for proven game-changing talent. Otherwise, they very well might squander Gunner's team control window of cheap control. Look, the best teams mix their young talent with proven all-stars. They are not doing that and only relying on the young talent. That is not the recipe to me. Adley is not the guy for me right now either. But that's a wrap for this week's episode of Hot and Hobby. Hope you enjoyed this week's show. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate it, and it really helps. Ring that notification bell as well so you don't miss the next one, which is tomorrow. So until tomorrow, I'm Mr. Hollywood, and I am out.